Hello Taurus, welcome to my channel. It is an absolute blessing and such a pleasure to be here with you. So thank you for joining me for your November 2023 Tarotscope. In the description box below, you will find links to all sorts of goodies, including my social media pages, information on personal readings, and information on donations if you would like to explore those options. There will also be a timestamp in the description box if you would like to jump to the start of your reading. Please do keep in mind that this is a collective reading, not a personal reading, so take only what resonates with you and leave the rest. Do not make it your story if it isn't. I would also like to encourage you that if you would like deeper insights or to dive more deeply into what November may hold for you, check out your Sun, Moon, and Rising Tarotscopes. They may help you to navigate the month a little bit better. So November is a universal 9 month, and this prepares us for all kinds of endings. The number 9 is also symbolic of sacrifice and service. So we are being called to bring light and joy to those who need it the most. The overall energy of the month is quite positive. Sure, we are, experiencing some endings, and that may bring some sadness for us, but where one door closes, another opens. So for the month, we are going to be diving into the overall energy for you, looking at what you are sacrificing, how you can be of service, and getting some advice that will best support and serve you moving forward. But Taurus, before we dive into that, I do want to share with you that I saw 444 as I was preparing for your reading. And that is the number of protection. It is the number of trusting your intuition and the guidance that is coming through to you. It is being sure to listen to those things, to not ignore them, to really acknowledge them. And again, to trust that you are being protected and supported in doing those things. Okay, so you may want to look into that number a little bit more deeply, or perhaps you're seeing that number repeating for you this month. But I did want to share that with you before we dove in. Okay, so let's see what's coming through for you for the month of November. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, tell us about November 2023 for Taurus, please. I feel like it's this one. That's very interesting because we had like this one solo card that went this way and, a group of cards that went the opposite way. So you guys, I am a firm believer that nothing comes from nothing. And I feel as though that showed up for a reason. I feel like your overall energy is taking you down a path that is not one where most would travel, or is one that is separate from the path of those that you have been around. Okay, so for example, you may find that you've had certain friendship groups or things like this. You may find you're going this way and they're going that way. You may find that you've outgrown them. You may find that they're no longer serving you. For some of you, I don't know why I'm getting this, but for some of you, you may actually be moving from one place where you've established a group of friends, or maybe your family is, or something like that. You may be moving from one place to another, because I just see like going your separate ways, going the path less traveled. And there may be some in your experience who are like, you're doing what? Right? It may not make sense to them, but here's the thing, Taurus, it doesn't have to. Okay? So take it if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. What is Taurus sacrificing for the month of November, please? I'm getting some fear coming up. So whatever it is that you may be sacrificing, it may bring about some fear within you. Thank you. How can Taurus be of service, please? Oh, okay. What advice will best support and serve Taurus moving forward, please? What advice will best support and serve Taurus moving forward? What advice will best support Taurus? There it is. Oh, that one too. Okay. Thank you. Tell us more, please, about the overall energy of November 2023 for Taurus. Tell us more, please, about the overall energy of November 2023 for Taurus. I feel like for some of you, so it's interesting because I get energy that, or rather, the energy manifests for me in many ways. There's times that I feel it in my body. There's times it manifests in the behavior of the cards. There's times that it comes through in vision. There's times that it's just a feeling that I'm picking up on. Sometimes I get words or phrases. And it's interesting because I'm struggling to get cards out. It doesn't typically take this long. So I do feel that for some of you, perhaps prior to the month of November, or maybe in November still, there's almost a feeling of like stagnancy, or maybe resistance, or suspension, or pause, or something. And it I don't know. I don't know who this is for, but it feels like there could have been some resistance to movement forward. And this may be, I'm getting a little bit of this kind of stubborn energy, which I know, Taurus, can be a trait of yours. So perhaps there are things that you know you need to be moving on or working through or addressing or something, and you're just like, I don't wanna, you can't make me do it. I don't know who that's for, but I'm getting that coming in. All right, so tell us there, see, as soon as I address it, it's like, boom. Tell us more, please, about what Taurus is sacrificing for the month of November, please. These here, this one back, thank you. Tell us more, please. Yeah, okay. Tell us more, please. What advice will best support Taurus moving forward? What advice will best support and serve Taurus moving forward, please? Okay, thank you. And I'm getting this one. I didn't even see that over there. It's weird how that happened, you guys. It really is. Okay, so anything else we need to know about the overall energy of November 2023 for Taurus, please? Thank you. What else do we need to know about what Taurus is sacrificing? Thank you. What else do we need to know about how Taurus can be of service, please? Okay, thank you. What else do we need to know? Okay, thank you. One more deck. Okay, anything we need to know or may have missed about the overall energy of November 2023 for Taurus? Thank you. Anything we need to know or may have missed about what Taurus is sacrificing? It's too many. Nice, clear message, please. Anything we need to know or may have missed? All right, thank you. Anything we need to know? All right. Anything we need to know or may have missed in regards to the... Ooh, this one. Okay. And that one. All right. So let's take a look at your overall energy for the month of November. Taurus, you have here we the Hathors, deep love, mother's milk, birth as a portal. For some of you, you may be preparing to become a mother. I don't know why I'm getting that. For what first time parents even. It doesn't have to be, but I feel like for some there is this energy of becoming a parent, because I'm actually seeing the birth as a portal as part of the change taking place, like in your experience, right? I feel like there is this energy of change that's coming through, and I do feel as though for some of you there's the preparation of becoming a parent, whether it be for the first time or second, third, fourth, whatever it is. I feel like you're preparing for those changes that are coming in, or you could be. For others of you, I feel as though there is this energy of simply stepping out of one way of being and into another. For some of you, you could have, this is very interesting, but for some of you, you may have come to a new, how do I say this, a new perspective on love. And it doesn't necessarily have to be love from like an external source. It could be the love that you have within yourself. Because it feels like whatever this is very nurturing. And you may have stepped into a place where you're now maybe making yourself a priority, where you are now paying more attention to your desires, your wants, your needs, what is most in alignment with your truth. And I feel like it's almost as if you are potentially looking after yourself with the same kind of love that a mother would give a child. And I'm not saying this because I feel like you're childish or anything of that nature, but it just feels that, perhaps at one point in your experience, you were not doing those things. You were not giving to yourself in that same way. You may have put yourself on the back burner, your feelings on the back burner, your desires on the back burner. They may have came, what is the word? At like the bottom of the list, kind of, in a sense, right? It feels as though you may have been putting others before yourself. And so with this energy coming through here of deep love and mother's milk, it just feels as though you may be moving in this space now where you are nurturing yourself, where you are giving that deep love to yourself. And I do feel like if that is true for you, it feels as though through the month of November, you could find things, how do I say this? Because it's not coming through as if something has been born already. It feels like it's in the works. It feels like it's being prepared. So it feels as though through the month of November, you could find that you are like preparing for something new, and you may feel as though something is changing or some kind of change is coming. And again, for some of you, there could be, maybe you're preparing to move. Okay. Maybe you're like in the spot where you're like doing research, or you're getting things into alignment, getting your ducks in a row in order to make certain moves. Maybe it's a job, and maybe it's whatever it is for you. It feels like preparing, getting your ducks in a row, because I feel like either you've made decisions to make changes, or you feel like something is coming, or you feel like you need to be preparing. And again, for some of you, I feel like this is actually about parenthood, where you are preparing for the birth of a child. But again, if you don't resonate with that, I feel like it's preparing for the birth of something new within your own experience. And I do feel like this could be a result of the nurturing love you've been giving to yourself. Let's see, what else do you have here? Page of Wands in the reverse. This is really fascinating because I feel as though, so the Page of Wands is a very kind of enthusiastic, excited, adventurous kind of energy. Okay, it's very much about exploration and freedom. And in the reverse, it's this energy of like procrastination. Or what's another way to put this? It's also this energy of like not like a lack of direction, which is interesting because I feel as though For some of you, even though there's this energy of like you may find yourself kind of separating from certain groups, for some of you, there could be this feeling like I'm not really sure what exactly I'm doing. Maybe you're just following your intuition and you don't even know what the next step is in front of you, but you're just, you know what I'm saying? Or like you can't see 2 steps ahead, but you can only see the next step you're supposed to be making. And so you may not really have like a firm footing. Or again, like I was saying before, for some of you, it could be like welcoming something that is completely new, right? Or, you know, especially for those of you who resonate with welcoming a child for the first time, I just feel as though there's this like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. There is the energy there for some. There's also this kind of energy of, uh, procrastination in the sense that you may have been sitting on something. Okay, so for some of you, perhaps maybe you have been feeling like something needed to change, or needed your attention or something like that, and you've been kind of sitting on it. And now, perhaps in the month of November, you're getting the energy of like, hey, we've got to prepare, we've got to get things ready, we've got to like make certain moves. That's how this feels to me. For yeah, I hope that makes sense. For some, this energy that's coming through of like preparation, of movement, if you will, or of change, it could be creating some fears within you, right? Because again, the Page of Wands is this enthusiastic, excited, very courageous and confident energy, and it is this feeling of, you know, the opposite of that, of like a bit of maybe worry or anxiety or conflict or something like that, where it's like unsure, right? That's why things feel very kind of new in some sense for you this month. You also have here warrior woman. Have you answered your deepest calling? And I definitely feel, you know, again, that there are some things where you're being called to do certain things, and maybe you don't even know why. Maybe it's just your intuition is just speaking to you, calling you to go to certain places or to do certain things, even if you don't know what the next step is after you get to that place or after you make that move. And for some of you, you know, there's this energy here that's, again, it's bringing up that kind of lack of confidence, that lack of courage, that lack of direction, perhaps, or lack of enthusiasm or something like that. And I feel like this, how do I say? It feels like this could be because there's that fear of not knowing what comes next, right? Like it feels like you're being called to make certain moves, but there's the fear that comes up. And I feel like this is trying to push you again into a new space. Like that birth as a portal, um, you know, I'm feeling called to just kind of put this into a perspective, right? Where if we come back to the whole concept of a mother giving birth to a child, like this is a painful experience, not only for the mother but for the child as well, right? So you know, the child is there all cozy and comfy in the womb, it's got everything it needs, and all of a sudden now it's thrust out into the world, right? Like or it's like being, the pressure is on, if you will, right? And it starts creating this movement and it's uncomfortable and they're scared and all the things. And I feel like there's this energy here of your, you know, source, God, universe, your divine plan, your higher self, whatever it is, trying to move you into a direction where you're stepping into something new. But in order to do that, there has to be this address of those fears, right? Or there has to be an acknowledgement of these fears and moving through them versus just kind of sitting. There's a lot of energy coming through here. Let's see. I want to read from the guidebook for you for this card, just to give you a little bit more insight, or, you know, a little bit more something to work with. should you find yourself experiencing this energy. So it says here, you are here for a reason. You are being called to bravely pave a path. Have you answered your highest and deepest calling? Living a heart and soul-led life is not all fluffy and smooth sailing. Living a heart and soul-led, life requires courage to triumph over fear. Yeah. So often our fears are the gatekeepers to our greatest gifts. And the more resistance we have toward answering a call, the more important it is to our soul's growth. Sometimes fear is an indication that we're facing the right way. Joan of Arc was known for her courage and her famous line, "I'm not afraid, I was born to do this." But the thing about courage is that it is not possible without fear. So if you are feeling afraid, what is needed is courage. And courage comes from living from the heart. Think of your fears as opportunities to expand rather than things that are holding you hostage. If you look at your fears in this light, then, as uncomfortable as it might feel, it's actually a sign that you are on the right track. Right? So again, I just feel like the energy is trying to take you to the next level. It's trying to move you from one way of being to another. And again, for some of you, this is literally like a very big change in your experience, like having a child or like moving location, separating from, a group that you have been associated with or have known for quite some time. You have here higher love. Interesting, right? Because we have deep love here. And I was talking about, this, for some, this deep love that you've been giving to yourself has been encouraging you to move in new directions or to do things differently. Think about it. There must be a higher love down in my heart, hidden in the stars above. Without it, life is wasted time. Look inside your heart. I'll look inside mine. So I do feel, again, for some of you, again, like I was saying earlier, it feels like this could have something to do with, someone maybe who has come into your life and really shown you a more deep or pure feeling kind of love where it feels very authentic and very true and honest. However, I feel, again, this is more so about the love that you're giving yourself. This sacred relationship that's been created between you and yourself and nurturing that. And again, I feel like this is about following your heart, like really connecting with what you feel is true for you. And like we were reading from the Warrior Woman card, for example, like I said earlier, if you've been in this group for some time and now you're picking up and moving over here and they don't get it, that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of love for yourself and for what you know to be true about yourself to do those sorts of things. Leaving behind what you've known is no easy task. It is certainly challenging. It certainly brings about a lot of fear, and it does require a lot of inner strength and courage and conviction in oneself to move in that way. And I feel like it feels like this is the position that you may be standing in for the month of November. We also have Rescue Me, Marshmallow, A Day to Remember Rescue Me by Marshmallow and A Day to Remember. This song actually came up for Aries. So if you have Aries in your chart, you may want to take a peek at that Tarotscope as well. But it says, never been saved, but I've never come closer. Another year down and another year older. A million fresh starts. What I needed was closure. I lost who I was, but I found my composure. So, I really feel like this is speaking to, certainly, especially since it's come up twice now, that universal 9 energy where we are in this space of endings, right? Because again, it's another year down, another year older, a million fresh starts. What I needed was closure. Okay. And I feel like this is very interesting. For some of you, you could have done something like moving away from your past, like physically moving away from your past. This may be something you've already done. Again, take it if it resonates. But you may have moved physically away from your past and now feel called to move back. Because I feel like for some of you, you were like running, like you didn't gain closure with where you are. Certainly, you know, if you felt called to move away, that's probably where you needed to be for that period of time. But it feels as though for some of you, you may be called back because you have to, like, there's that closure that's needed in order to move forward. For others of you, I feel as though there is this energy of, how do I say this? Again, it feels like you've kind of learned the lesson in a sense. It feels as though people may have commented, or you may have felt like you're not who you used to be. Maybe you feel very different from the person you once were. But again, I feel like part of, like, how do I say this? Part of our evolution and part of spiritual development and healing and all these things, essentially what happens is you lose yourself completely, in many ways, right? And because who we think we are is actually our trauma, our wounding, our programming, our outdated belief systems, right? All society, culture, all sorts of things that have been piled on top of our truth. And once we start pulling those off, once we start healing them and working through them and giving ourselves love for exactly who we are, and we uncover our truth, we start to feel like we have no idea who the hell we are, right? You kind of lose yourself, but then you start rebuilding it, right? You start discovering like who you actually are. And this goes for, because in my own experience, and maybe you can relate to this, I definitely was one of those people who I thought I knew who I was, right? Like definitely thought I knew who I was. And don't get me wrong, there are some aspects that have remained, if you will. There are some things that have kind of been deeply rooted with me that are, or have been good foundations for me, which have not changed. But a lot of things that I thought I knew about myself were not true, and they have changed. So, you know, again, I feel like this may be true for you, as you move through the month of November, pardon me, and perhaps again, this may be something that already started, but you're kind of like, how do I say this? Almost like solidifying, if you will, for the month of November. You have here straight from the heart, so lots of like heart energy coming through for you. This is by Rudimental featuring Norskov. Give me your heart, give me your soul, give me your mind, give me your love. I want it all. Give me your pain and I'll give you patience. Every day, whatever it takes, I'll do it all. I'll be saving it all for you. I believe in it. We're the truth. So, a couple of different perspectives here. I feel like this could be coming from your higher self, where you're more like, again, kind of surrendering. And maybe you resonate with that. Or this could also be where maybe you've strengthened or deepened your connection with God, source, the universe, whatever you call it, the divine. And you may have felt like, you know, you've been called to just trust. Okay, which is where I feel like that intuition is coming in, where you're maybe just following your intuition, even if you don't know what's 2 steps ahead type of thing, right? Because it does feel like this energy of just surrender. And I think that's a really powerful place to be in if this is true for you. I'm getting some fear because I do feel like, you know, stepping into this space, stepping into this energy where you are surrendering, it does bring about a lot of fear. I mean, and that kind of energy has come through on, you know, several times throughout your reading so far anyways, but it just feels like there's this like fear of like, okay, I'm doing this even though I don't know what the hell is going on. and I'm just going to trust and have faith. But that doesn't mean that I'm not scared. It doesn't mean that, there's not fear coming up. I just have kind of, maybe you're somebody who's seen that line of like everything you want's on the other side of fear. And maybe you're just like, yep, we're going. Right? Maybe there's a lot coming through here about your intuition. So maybe you've had like signs and synchronicities that have all encouraged you to just surrender, to take that leap. Okay, so what are you sacrificing, Taurus? You have, ooh, yeah, look at this. I'm sorry. Defenselessness, righting past wrongs, and uprooting. Yeah, it really does feel, like I said before, some of you may have moved away from what you've known and are now finding yourself moving back to right those wrongs, to find closure. And maybe, I don't know why, but maybe you aren't even aware of like that's what's happening, right? Because again, like I said, I feel like some of you are making moves without really knowing, you know? So you may just, something may have occurred where you're now in that position, and this may be why. It could be that you're called back to that certain place or that experience or that thing or whatever it is in order to right past wrongs, in order to uproot some things that maybe you've been carrying. Interestingly, for some of you, I feel like wherever life is taking you, wherever your journey is taking you currently, again, it feels like there's this birth as a portal coming up, because it feels like you're meant to be stepping into whatever's coming next, which goes without saying according to that universal 9 energy. But I feel like before you step into that, there's this energy of like, again, kind of preparing for whatever's coming next. And there's an energy of almost like cleaning house, right? Like sweeping everything out. I feel like this is going to show up differently for everyone, which goes without saying as this is a collective reading. But it feels like what you're sacrificing are those things that you've been holding on to, past stories, right? Things that you haven't addressed, fears, insecurities. Yeah. Again, we have that energy of like a million fresh starts. What I needed was closure. And I feel like this is one of those choices where you're sacrificing the things that have prevented you at some point or another from moving forward. And it feels like you've already got like a head start on this in some way, shape, or form. Again, maybe by putting yourself first, by loving yourself, by nurturing yourself, by, giving back to yourself, opening your heart to yourself, creating that deep or strong connection with yourself. But it feels like it's like cleaning house. It's like taking care of some things that need your attention. 2 of Cups. Interesting. This showed up in the Aries reading as well, I believe. So, and it shows up in a similar energy, because I feel as though where we're looking at what you're sacrificing, right? I feel like the reason why this is happening, again, is to create this kind of union or connection or sacred partnership between you and you, or between you and God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it. I know that a lot of times readers see this as a union between self and someone else external. And again, perhaps that is the case for some people, but it doesn't feel like it's for everyone. Right? It feels more for some of you. Okay, I'll touch on this just briefly. For some of you, you've had somebody come into your life who has shown you what love is, like I was saying, like more unconditional types of love, and it sparked this within you. It's encouraged you to give to yourself, to nurture yourself, to love yourself. And I feel like furthermore, it's encouraged you to let go of some of the past belief systems, woundings, traumas, programming, etc., around love, around your heart, these sorts of things. Okay. And so, it feels like that's encouraged you, that this union of these two, of you and this other person hasn't, or this connection or partnership between you and another person has encouraged you to address your wounds, your trauma, the things that you're carrying, the things you feel are limiting you or that prevent you from opening your heart up even more. Okay. But if you don't resonate with that, I feel that, and for more people likely, that this is more about sacrificing these things in order to create a sacred connection or union, partnership, whatever you want to call it, between you and yourself, where you have learned to trust yourself more. And I feel like this is a result of nurturing yourself. This is a result of, paying attention to your wants, your needs, your desires. This is a result of the deep love that you've given to yourself. Okay. And for some of you, I feel like you may have done this via a choice between you and someone else. There feels to me like for some of you, there's this energy of, I am loving myself and I am doing these things for myself, however you want, whatever the story is. And because I am setting these boundaries, I am choosing me over you. Okay. So again, that may resonate, pardon me, with someone specific. Okay. So we also have here the devil. Interesting. Again, this showed up in Aries reading as well. So like I said, if you have Aries in your chart, you may want to check that out, or maybe if you have an Aries that's close to you or something. But with the devil energy, again, what are you sacrificing? I feel like this is those, how do I say this? The way that this is coming through is doing things just because they're easy. I don't know why it's coming through that way, because I don't know that I've really got that energy with this necessarily before. But it feels like it's more of a, how do I say this? So for example, maybe what's easier is staying in a situation where you've like got a good job, you've got a place to live, you kind of know it, right? So you're more comfortable. And that may be like the easy thing to do, right? It's looking at it from a very kind of materialistic, physical perspective. So it feels like you're sacrificing the easy thing to do, right? So for example, like, oh, it makes logical sense to do this, to stay here in this job, in this space, because I, have all the things. And it might not make sense to, pick up and move or to make these drastic changes without really knowing 2 steps ahead. But I feel like you're sacrificing doing things that are easy, because I feel like there's that deep desire to want to grow. There's a deep desire to want to continue to see like what else can happen. Should you continue to love yourself and be honest with yourself and follow what you feel is best for you, and to nurture that, because again, I feel like for some of you, this is not something that you did previously, right? And once you started to do that, I feel like you started to see changes, and I feel like there's this energy of like, what else is possible? Okay. But also with the devil energy, it is one of restriction. So again, I feel like you are sacrificing or letting go of anything that has prevented you from moving forward, anything that has um, kept you kind of stuck in a way of being, or it feels like restriction. And this very well could be um, things more connected with those lower egoic drives, right? It could be connected to your pain and your wounding, pardon me, and your trauma, and the things like the stories that you've told yourself. So certainly, I feel like again, you're sacrificing, and for some of you, like doing things that are logical and make sense and that seem easy. And for others of you, I feel like you could be sacrificing the stories and the things that have been limiting you or holding you back, that have kept you very dense, or very focused. How do I say this? Because it feels like a weight, but it also feels like very physical. It feels very worldly. Okay. I hope that makes sense. We do have here the King of Wands, and this is an energy of like insecurity, lack of confidence. This is an energy of, um, yeah, I just really feel like there's a lot here about, how do I say this? I feel like okay, so I feel like for some of you, you're sacrificing this, how do I say, this overbearing kind of energy where again, I'm kind of feeling it as like, as though I have all this weight that's above me and I'm like trying to break free from it, but there's so much weight that I don't feel like I can get out from underneath it. Like, kind of like Atlas is coming to mind. If you know what I mean there. Um, I also feel like some of you are releasing this, or sacrificing this concept of being impulsive simply because you're doing things that feel right to you. For some of you, you may have had a fear of being seen as impulsive or foolish, and that may have held you back. Right? So again, for some of you, I feel like you're sacrificing that, and I do feel like for those of there are some of you where you are righting past wrongs with yourself because you did not listen to yourself before. You did not trust yourself before, right? Like, it just feels like you may have dishonored or betrayed yourself previously, but by not doing what you knew you should have done. Or followed a path that you knew you should be following, or something along those lines. And it feels as though this is something that you could be sacrificing through the month of November. Again, where I feel like there's a release of fears around being seen as like impulsive, or around letting external things just weigh down on you and control you and restrict you or limit you. It's really wild energy. I feel like there's also been for whatever reason, some kind of fear around being selfish. Um, Especially with that devil energy and the King of Wands. I mean, both of these energies can be like a selfish kind of energy. So you may have had fears around that. But, it's like I've got to do what's best for me, regardless of what anyone else thinks or says. And so again, I feel like this is what you're sacrificing. I feel like you're releasing a lot of fear and are trying to the best of your ability to develop a more sacred connection with yourself, where you honor yourself, where you're truthful with yourself, where you are more, how do I say, more aware of how not recognizing or acknowledging what it is you need or want, how that is a disservice to yourself, how that's dishonoring yourself, how that creates a lack of trust within yourself. We have Pleiades, double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. So what I want to point out here about the Pleiades is that it is an energy, this constellation or star system is an energy of death and rebirth. Okay. And I definitely feel as though you are, in some ways, sacrificing the old ways of being. And again, we have birth as a portal, allowing yourself to be reborn into something new. What's interesting about this, and I don't think I've ever got this energy before, is there's this energy of like sacrificing being a people pleaser. I love this energy, right? I have a fascination with the Pleiades constellation and, the story about the seven sisters and all the things, but it's so freaking fascinating to me that this energy is coming up in this way. Because like I said, I'm pretty sure this has not happened to me previously, where I feel as though this card is bringing up this energy of sacrificing your happiness to uplift others, to please others. And I feel like this is done. This is done. And it's interesting because I don't feel like you're like cold-hearted. I don't feel like you wouldn't help people or don't help people or things like this, but I feel like there's been boundaries that have been drawn where you are in this position where you're like, I'm not going to sacrifice my own happiness for the happiness of someone else. I'm not going to dim my light to let somebody else shine theirs. Right? Oh, that's so wild to me, you guys. So wild. Interesting. You have Higher by Sigma featuring Labyrinth. And what is love if you're still searching for something? And what is love if it's building up to nothing? We'll never see how far we've come if we keep looking at the sun. So what is love if we're still searching for something? Get higher, higher, higher. We keep looking up, we keep looking up, higher, 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 but we're still not high enough. And I think this is speaking to, for some of you, again, that connection that for some of you has been deepened or strengthened or created in some kind of way between yourself and God, source, universe, or between yourself and your higher self, right? Because I feel like for some of you, you may have sought love from external forces and you may have found yourself disappointed. Okay, that's not to say that you didn't love people or people didn't love you. You know, that's not to say that people were bad or anything along those lines, but I just feel like it wasn't enough. There was still something missing. And I feel like what was missing is that love between yourself and yourself, or that love between you and God, or between you and source, again, however you want to put it. Right? Because there is this energy of needing to look higher, needing to go higher, needing, like something more, much deeper, right? Much more meaningful. And again, I feel like I need to point out, like, there's this energy of the universe, your physical reality will reflect back to you how you feel within. I don't know if I said this already in this reading or if it was an Aries reading, but it will reflect back to you exactly what you feel about yourself. And so, I feel like, again, there was something missing, and that could have been very much so because there was that love missing between you and yourself, right? That depth was missing. That honor was missing. That trust was missing. And this can also be reflected or manifest in a way where it shows your disconnection from source, because that love from source, God, universe, again, whatever you call it, is unconditional, right? So it could, it could have been reflecting that feeling of separation to you, where you didn't feel like there was that deep connection, or maybe it felt that way at some points in your life, but then you found yourself always back to the same thing. And I feel like this was trying to show you that you cannot fill that from outside of yourself. It has to begin from within. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at how you can be of service, Taurus. You do, oh, look at that. You have the Pleiades energy showing up twice. How about that? That's really, really fascinating. You do have the 7-star sisters, birthing, creation, tapestry of life and expression. So you have birth as a portal, and you now have here as well, birthing creations. So again, I feel like the more you tap into your truth, the more you step into this, right? The more you welcome this new beginning, the more you surrender. I feel like the better position, if you will, that you put yourself in order to birth new things. And again, for some of you, this is like birthing an actual person, okay? To birth an actual creation in the form of a physical human being. For some of you, though, this is also birthing like a new business or birthing a new experience, right? It feels as though this is about weaving your tapestry of life from a very new perspective. And I feel like you could be of service in this way because it feels like connecting more deeply with your truth and expressing that fully, right? Of sharing that with the world. Because again, I feel like previously you may have been putting yourself like on the back burner, or you may have been putting your needs, your wants, your desires, to the wayside to please other people. And it feels to me like that could have been like dimming your light, if you will, and preventing you from um, being in a position where you could be of service to other people. That's not to say that you haven't been, Taurus. I just want to say that. But I feel like, continuing to move forward on this trajectory and aligning with that, I feel like could continue to weave more for you and put you in a position where you are expressing yourself from a truthful, pure place, and you are encouraging others to do the same, which again, a very similar message came up for Aries. So I really want to say, if you have a lot of Aries in your chart, or if you are resonate in some way with an Aries, you may want to look more deeply into that. So let me find this. I want to read from the guidebook for you. Again, this is how can you be of service. So it says here, there are new creations that want to be born, beauty that's yearning to be woven, new consciousness that's longing to be birthed into life. If you draw this card, you're being called to surrender to these creations, to usher in a new era of consciousness, and to do your bit in weaving the web of life. This is the card of the artist and the midwife. You're being called to ponder questions. What wants to be birthed through you? What new creations are whispering in your ear? What beauty are you being called to make? Creativity and intuition come from the same sacred place. They occur when we find ourselves flowing with the rest of life. Earth is renowned as a planet of manifestation and creativity, and yet so many of us have forgotten how to create. Somewhere along the way, we stopped seeing ourselves as artists, as creatives, as poets. Yet, to be human is to be creative. Creativity is part of your true nature. Perhaps you're being called to surrender to a creative project, such as a new business or book, or perhaps you're being called to weave beauty in your home or in the way you cook. Regardless, regardless of the end result, you're being called to express yourself through your creativity, to surrender to the creative projects that both scare and excite you, to find a way to weave beauty back into everyday life. For where there's creativity, spirit and soul are present, and the world needs those qualities more now than ever before, right? So again, like how can you be of service? And that's by sharing your unique voice, sharing your creativity. And the only way that you can really do that from a very, how would I say, I feel like, let me rephrase that. The best way that you can do that is by doing it from an honest place, right? By doing it from a place where you know your truth, you know yourself, and you aren't afraid of that truth, so that you can step out and, like it said here, share those creations or to share that beauty. You have the Two of Wands. Yeah, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, sweets. This is that energy, okay? It's very much like what we were just talking about, and I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, but you have another two yet again. And so I feel like a lot of this is about the decisions that you're making through the month of November. Yeah, it really does feel like get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's how you can be of service. Nine of Cups in the reverse. I also feel like this is also speaking to what I was talking about, right? Where you really can't be of service in a very full kind of way, if you will. Or rather, the best way to be of service is when you're doing it from a place of fulfillment, where you're doing it from a place of honesty and truth and love for yourself, right? Where you're not afraid to do those things. And the Nine of Cups in the reverse is this energy of dissatisfaction or lack of true joy, or, like being unfulfilled. Okay. It can be an energy of, okay, yeah, I just want to stick with that dissatisfaction, because it is this energy of, I feel, how can you be of service? Well, it's like, get uncomfortable with being, or excuse me, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and do what really brings you joy, what really brings you happiness, what really creates beauty in your life, right? It's this energy of, you can only be of service if you're doing things that fulfill you, right? Because you're moving from the space of like purity and love and joy and happiness, and that perpetuates into the world, right? So I feel like it's speaking to this, and I do find it very interesting as well that you have this 9 energy coming through in a universal 9 month, right? So I feel like if you truly want to be of service, um it's about fulfilling yourself by getting outside of your comfort zone. Knight of Swords, yeah, take action. Right? How can you be of service? Just do the damn thing. That's really how this is coming through. Because the Knight of Swords is, I mean, first of all, knights are motion anyways. But the Knight of Swords is this energy of, how do I say this? It's like almost like impulsiveness, right? And I feel like there's this energy of like, just do what you feel you need to be doing. And it's interesting because I just had some fear come up, because I feel as though making this decision, again, as I was sharing earlier on, can feel or be perceived by others to be kind of, maybe like unrealistic or something. But it feels to me like there's this energy of faith and trust that has come through, where it's like, do what you feel you need to be doing, what you know is true in your heart, right? And do not give up on that. Okay? Do not give up on that. It's going to take a lot of hard work, but I feel like there's this energy of, again, just do the thing, right? Just do it. Just go. I want to impress upon you, of course, to use your discernment and to make decisions that are going to best serve you. Okay? But it really feels as though, if you know that this is something that you should be doing, take action. Yeah, look at this. You have the friggin' wheel. The number 10. I mean, so what comes after 9? 10. What is 10? 10 is the end of a cycle, completion, renewal, moving forward, closing cycles out, things coming full circle, right? And with the wheel coming out, where we're looking at how can you be of service, it is this energy of changing things, letting these cycles close, allowing things to come to an end where they need to. It is an energy of really kind of a turning point, creating that movement, trusting your personal vision, aligning with destiny in some ways, or for some of you, you know what I'm saying? It really does feel like, but here's the thing. It's like you have to meet the universe halfway. Okay? Like, you have to put in some effort, right? The Knight of Swords is hardworking. Knowledgeable. I mean, like, how do I say this? It's hardworking, but maybe that's not the right way to put it. It's a courageous kind of energy, right? Where it's like, I'm going. I'm gonna put in whatever I need to do to get to where I need to be. It's ambitious, right? So I feel as though with the wheel out here, there's this energy of allowing this turning point, allowing things to change, not fearing that, trusting your personal vision, as I said earlier, and allowing it to move you, allowing it to bring you to the end of a cycle, right? So how can you be of service? Like, surrender to the change. Take action towards the changes you know you need to make in order to align with your destiny, in order to, bring things full circle. You have here priestess. How are you being called to step up and lead? Yeah, so how can you be of service? I mean, it's really fascinating that you have all these questions that are coming up, right? Have you answered your deepest calling? And now again, how are you being called to step up and lead? And we're in this position of how can you be of service? Well, how are you being called to step up and lead? Because that's probably how you could be of service, right? That's probably where your gifts and your talents and things lie. But again, there's this energy of you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Like, you can sit in dissatisfaction and things can stay the way that they've been, or you can start moving towards your destiny by stepping outside of your comfort zone and answering that call. It's really, really interesting here, because I feel like this is taking you to somewhere like unknown, right? Like you're venturing into somewhere you've never been. But I feel like it's going to be there that, for whatever reason, again, take this only if it resonates. I cannot stress that enough, because I am not responsible for your life choices. You are. But I feel like if you feel called to make these moves where it's taking you somewhere you've never been, and there's that big fear that's there where it's like you're gonna have to face this fear in order to move through this, I feel like once you do that, on the other side of that is something better. I don't know what that looks like for you, right? But it just feels like it's more fulfilling. Okay? You have here as well happier, yes. Bastille and marshmallow. Lately, I've been thinking, I want you to be happier. I want you to be happier. Even though I might not like this, I think you'll be happier. I want you to be happier. So again, how do you be of service? You're following the things that light you up. You're following the things that you feel called to do and continuously aligning with those things, because again, there's this feeling. It's interesting because I feel like this is almost a conversation with self, right? Like, I want to be happier. And even though I might not like this feeling of discomfort, I might not like the feeling of the unknown, I might not like the feeling of having to face these fears, I think I'm going to be happier on the other side of that. And I feel like if you can hold on to that and accept that, if this is true for you, I feel like it's going to lead you to a place where you may experience that. Again, because I feel, how can you be of service? Well, the happier you are, the more fulfilled you are within yourself, the more you love yourself, the more truthful you are with yourself, the more in alignment you are with your truth, the happier you're going to be. I know that some of that text there is difficult to read, and I do apologize, but I feel like you can be like, the happier you are, the more of service you are able to be to others, right? Let's see. Actually, I want to put that over there. Okay, so what advice, Taurus, will best support and serve you moving forward? You have wait. It's not yet time. Things are being woven. Interesting. Yeah, again, I was picking up on this energy of like preparing for something. Okay, and again, this is another card that showed up in Aries reading as well. And I feel as though, the advice that's going to best support you here is to prepare for whatever that thing is, even if you don't know exactly what it is, because I do feel like things are being woven. I do feel like you're being guided, to kind of make certain arrangements or to get your ducks in a row, as I shared earlier. And, I feel like until you feel like it's time to move, there really is this energy of, not moving until you feel called, right? Of trusting your intuition. And so it's kind of like, I don't really know what's going on, but when my intuition, when God tells me to move, I'm moving. Like, and I don't mean physically moving, though that could be true for some. I feel like it's just surrendering to divine plan, if you will, and allowing it to unfold in whatever way, right? And so I feel like there's this energy of letting, again, getting your ducks in a row, preparing for certain things, and moving when you feel called to do so. It's not about rushing, okay? We also have here for you the seas of Mintanka, seeing potential, bringing unconsciousness to light. Yeah. I mean, again, I really feel like the advice here for you is to see the potential on the other side of facing all of those fears. And I think this is something that you may have been gaining clarity on, right? I really feel, at least through the month of November, that you're put in a position where you can see the potential even in having to face treacherous water, right? There's a feeling of, like, I'm kind of seeing it in my mind as like someone who's like stuck on an island or something, or stuck on some kind of land, and in order to get to something better or to save themselves, like they have to cross through treacherous water. And it's like, so you can stay in the same place and experience hardship or die or whatever it is, or you can venture across the water, take that chance, face your fears, and there could be salvation potentially on the other side, right? So that's how it's kind of being shown to me. And I feel like, this is going to, having this kind of perspective is going to support and serve you moving forward, because I feel like it's going to allow you to, again, like, see the potential in what is possible if you don't just stand still, if you don't give to your fears, or if you aren't paralyzed by your fears. Yeah. Oh, look at this, Six of Wands. This is triumph, success, victory. This is also like a public victory, or being in the public eye, or, having some kind of recognition. So, it's very interesting that the advice is to, trust your intuition and see the potential in not knowing all of the details, or not knowing what's on the other side of something, and trusting that it's going to lead you to a place of success or victory or triumph. Now, I don't know what that's going to look like for you, and certainly it may not manifest in the way that you expect it to. But I feel as though there's something better waiting on the other side of that trust, of that potential, of that surrender. And for some of you, this may be in the public eye, right? You may become a leader in some way, shape, or form with whatever you create, where you are, let's say, rewarded, right? Ooh, there's the star in the reverse, which is very, very interesting energy to come out here. I feel like the advice with this card is to not lose hope, to not lose faith, right? I feel as though it's like, don't get discouraged. Don't be insecure, like in the unknown. Okay. It's an energy of like, yes, you may not know what's on the other side. You may not have all of the pieces right in front of you, but don't be discouraged. Don't lose faith. Don't get insecure. Trust that everything is happening for you. I feel like there's this energy as well of like, inspiration will come. Right? Again, trust and have faith that inspiration will come to you. Yeah, it's really like, don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. And I keep hearing that over and over. And it's like, and there's also like, don't get discouraged if things don't happen really fast, right? It's like, see the potential, right? See the potential for triumph. See the potential for victory. See the potential for success. And don't get discouraged. Ooh, Yeah, you have the initiation, rite of passage, crossing the threshold. So here's the thing, sweets. I really feel with this card coming out, the advice that is going to best support and serve you moving forward is to understand that you are in the position you are in order to be initiated into something else, to cross the threshold, to bring certain ways of being, thinking, believing, doing to an end, to close a cycle, to move forward, right? To leave the past behind. But I feel like, again, in order for you to do this, Taurus, you have to face your fears. Because here's the thing about this card. If you look closely, and I hope you can see this, there are snakes. It's very dark. There's a storm. What else is up there? There are like faces in the rock formations. There, I mean, it looks all sorts of scary. Okay, looks all sorts of scary. And in order to get to this bright, beautiful, beachy looking area over here, it's like you got to face the fears. Okay, like you have to address the darkness before you step into the light, type of thing. So again, I feel as though, pardon me, the advice that's going to best support you is to recognize where you are, acknowledge where you are, accept where you are, and understand that this is an initiation for you, right? This is meant to be taking you to the next level, or meant to be, like birth as a portal, similar energy. It is meant to be moving you from one way of being to another. But in order to do that, you are going to have to face your fears and close out these cycles. You have here as well, Sisterhood of the Rose, Beauty and Devotion, Priestess, Mystic, Teacher. So I find it fascinating that you've had this priestess energy coming out more than once. I also find it quite fascinating that this energy of Sisterhood of the Rose is similar to that warrior woman energy, in the sense of, or excuse me, is similar to the Seven Star Sisters energy, where it's about, creating beauty and weaving that for yourself, because Sisterhood of the Rose is certainly one where it's asking you to seek beauty in the world and to create beauty and to recognize the beauty within you. So I do feel as though, again, the advice that's going to best support and serve you moving forward is to seek beauty, not only in the world around you, but also within you. I want to, there's a lot of water that I'm seeing here in your cards. And I feel like there's something here about your intuition. Certainly, I know I've been speaking to that for, a good majority of your reading, or at various points. But, I feel like your spirituality, your intuition, your feelings, your emotions, love for self and to others, I feel like is really kind of at the forefront for you this month. I'm going to find Sisterhood of the Rose and read this energy read from the guidebook to you so that we can dive a little bit deeper into this energy and the advice that's going to best support you. There it is. Okay. So it says here, the Sisterhood of the Rose is a lineage of priestesses and mystics who devoted their lives to serving humanity and seeding light consciousness all over Earth. A cross-section of ancient lineages, it is the path of devotion and beauty. Walking this path means being devoted to seeing and creating beauty wherever you go. The rose symbolizes the heart and the sacred geometry of all life. You are being called to notice the beauty around you, particularly in nature, and hear the whispers of Mother Earth. You are being called to spend more time in nature, as all the ancient secrets live there. Mother Earth is constantly whispering. Spend time admiring her creations, and you will be rewarded with insight and grace. You are being called to take a little more time to both notice the beauty that exists all around you and contribute to the beauty of the world in your own way too. This could be through your own creations or in the little things like how you dress to picking flowers for your home. Every time you devote your time to creating beauty, you harmonize the planet a little more, and the shift in vibration can be felt. So, I feel like part of the advice that's going to best support and serve you moving forward is to, there's this energy of like paying, again, as I was reading, to pay more attention to the beauty in the world and to create more beauty wherever you go, but also to be grateful for the beauty that you experience in the world, whether that be out in nature, whether that be beauty you find in yourself or beauty you find in others. You have here Oh My, the Club Mix by the Party Squad and Bose. So it says, oh my, look up in the sky and you will see me fly. I said, oh my, no, I'm not afraid to die. So this really is an energy I feel coming through for you, Taurus, of, again, like team no fear. Right? It's this energy of like, if you want to fly, you've got to get off the ground where it's safe. Right? And so again, I feel like the advice that's going to best support you is to not give into your fears, right? To not let your fears rule you or have power over you. Ooh, this is interesting. So your final message here is the song Soulmate by Flora Cash. Feels like we've lived 100 lives before together and then decided on one more. Here on earth where everything is cruel, 'cause no one knows that this is just a school. For what it's worth, I'd die with you again, 100 more times multiplied by 10. I hope I'll always have you in my mind so that I know to find you every time. Soulmate, 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 won't you dance here with me while it grows late? Put your head on my chest, that's your safe place. We'll fall deeper in love every day. So again, I mean, I feel like this is coming back and it's kind of interesting because it's, the last card out. I do feel like for those of you who, again, have found somebody who you find to have this very deep connection with, I feel like this has been kind of tossed in at the end as some sort of confirmation for you or something, which is like, I've got this big cheesy grin on my face because I almost feel like it's, it's spirit kind of like throwing you a bone type of thing, right? Like, hey, I know you need this, or I know you want this confirmation or something. I feel like for some of you, there is this connection that you share with someone that is very strong that could be very helpful for you, especially in, experiencing more unconditional or truthful, honest love and, growing that. Learning how to trust it, learning how to be open to it, vulnerable to it. For others of you, this could be an indication that there could be someone coming in. This is not something that I often talk about in my Tarotscopes or readings. So, it's interesting for me to get. But there was an energy coming through on, more than one occasion where it alluded to someone else maybe coming into your life that's changed things a bit. For some of you, I don't know why I'm getting this, and maybe this is for someone very specific, but I feel as though for some of you, you've been denying the truth of a deep connection that you felt with someone. I don't know if that's because maybe things haven't transpired or worked out the way that you had hoped or something, but I just feel like there's something here where you have strong feelings about someone and have kept that to yourself. So you may want to explore that a little bit more deeply. But again, take it as it resonates with you. I do feel like if this is true for you or resonates with you, that it's one of those situations where that person makes you kind of feel lightheaded, kind of like you're flying or floating. It kind of makes you feel dizzy type of thing, right? Like how they talk about love in the movies. So again, take it as it resonates, but I think this is beautiful. Either way, or let me rephrase, regardless, I feel like some of you are finding a soulmate within yourself. You're creating a safe place for you within yourself. You are creating a place full of deep love and reverence with yourself. And I feel like that is beautiful. It's absolutely incredible, because I feel, even though it may not happen right away, eventually, if you keep nurturing that, the world will reflect that back to you. And so, when love does come in, via another person, party, individual, however you want to put it, it's likely to be something that is pure. It's likely to be something that's more true, something that is more deep and is more authentic than maybe what you've experienced in the past. All right. So beautiful. So, Taurus, that is what I have for you for the month of November 2023. I pray that something here has been valuable or helpful for you as you navigate your month. If something has resonated here for you, please do the YouTube things by liking, sharing, commenting below, or subscribing. It really does help the channel to grow. And I truly do appreciate you doing so, because it tells YouTube that there may be something valuable here for someone else. And so then YouTube will bring more to the channel. And I really, like I said, I'm very grateful for that and appreciate you so very much. Take care of your courageous, brave, beautiful, worthy, growing, evolving soul. Have a beautiful month wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Know that you've got this and God has got you. Take care of yourself. Peace be with you and within you. And I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.